Hey everybody, this is Dan from Postfly here. Welcome back once again to Tie with Postfly. This week we're going to be tying the zebra copperjohn, which is a really cool, super useful little nymph. I use it for surveying. This one's pretty cool because we're gonna have two-tone wire and all that sort of goodness. What's going on, Mark? Good to see you. And yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty small. Once again, we kind of switched up our camera rig here, so hopefully this is a little better for y'all. You can see me, see what I'm doing on the small screen in the bottom left, and you can see what I'm doing up real close on the big screen. Hey, Marky Mark, thanks for it. All right, so real quick, I'm just gonna roll up my sleeves here. All right, so for the start of this pattern, we're gonna take our lead wire, get this out of the bag here. And what I'm gonna do, once I get this out of the bag, is we're just gonna put, I don't know, about 7 wraps around the shank. You don't need a ton. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You don't need a bunch because it's just going to kind of squinch up into the bead here, and you'll see right there, you can see how that kind of squinched right up into the bead head there, and we're just going to trim that off. And now we have that weighted. Hey Conan, thanks for everything. We're really hoping this is a little bit better for y'all, and you can see everything a little bit better and have a better view while we're tying here. So what I've done right here is I've laid out all my little ingredients here in front of me. And this is a pretty simple pattern, but we're going to do some fun little remix stuff with it. So hang tight with us throughout the whole production, and we'll even tie a little Prince nymph variation right at the end, so it'll be pretty fun. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my thread wraps started up here around the hook. And we're going to come pretty far back on the shank of the hook here. Just by the nature of the way this nymph pattern is designed, you want it to have a little bit of a downward slope there at the tail. Come in and trim that. Let everybody catch up here. How's everybody doing tonight? Hey Mark, what's going on? Good to see everybody. Tommy knows what's up. He's a big streamer. He does more video game stuff, but still kind of knows the gist of everything. Alright, so I'm going to get my goose biots out here. These guys. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get, like we've worked with biots before, so I'm going to strip off 2 right off the bottom there and peel those off. I'm going to start with my first one. And you want these to face out away from the hook shank. So we're going to tie our first one in, and this is going to be the one closest to the camera. So I'm going to get that lined up the way I want it, the right length. Get one loose trapping wrap in, get the feather where I want it, and then we're just going to wrap all the way up about to our lead wire. And really what that's going to do is just help kind of build up the body of the nymph a little bit and make sure that tapers real nice. And all I'm going to do is kind of scoot in front of here in the camera real quick and trim that down. And then I'm going to take my second biot and do the same thing but on the side closest to me, and I'm going to really try and match the length of that tail off the back. on this second tie. And actually we're gonna get our thread back to the bottom there. So I know, there we go, that's about the tail. Yeah, I really hope this this camera view helps out everybody. I'm really excited about it. It's pretty cool. And I'm hoping it's gonna help you guys see better, see what I'm doing better, tie better. I hope it's just better for everybody. And again, I'm just gonna come in and trim this biot. Alright, so these feathers, don't worry about it being too picture perfect. Like we've always been saying, trout don't eat perfect. It's just not the way it is. All we're really looking for is these two telltale mayfly tails sticking out the back. Alright, I'll let everybody catch up. Got my tie-in fuel. Little local Narragansett, but you local New Englanders will know what this is up. Woo! Oh yeah, Mark, this is really cool. Oh man, Trent. Hey Tanner, what's going on? Brandon, hey everybody. Alright, so now that we've got our biots in, we're going to take out our pair wire. Hey, Mark, I have it set up with our Canon DSLR camera. So it's a Mark IV, 5D Mark IV. And I'm using a Elgato Camlink tool. It's about $100 and something at your local Best Buy. So I'm dealing with my wire right now. And all I'm going to do is, we can probably cut this into quarters for now, because there's no way you're going to use this whole 2-foot stretch on one fly, and it's just going to get in the way. So I would unwrap your wire, and we're just going to cut it into quarters real quick before we get started on our ties. And don't worry about it getting kinked up or whatever. That's going to happen, but as you stretch it out and tie with it, it'll get better. So I would do similar to what we've done with Flash before. Double it over. I'm going to use different scissors, don't want to ruin Pete's. Oop, don't have any. Oh. Sorry everybody. And then we'll just double it over again and trim that again. And we'll do this with both of our wires. So we've got the red and then the silver. And I'm going to do the same thing. Just unravel it, straighten it out, double it over itself, and get it into the size strands that I want. So you can kind of straighten it out just like a leader, just kind of run it between your fingers. And like I said, these little nicks and stuff, don't worry too much about them. So again, double it over. Fortunately, I don't have cheap scissors to do this with, but if you have kind of like cheap office scissors that can cut wire and you don't want to risk your nice ones, I would recommend doing that. Just using my Loon razor scissors, unfortunately, for them. Alright, so now I have 4 stretches of wire, and honestly it's probably going to be 2 flies per little stretch of wire. So what we're going to do is you're going to line up the wires parallel, like that. And this is how we're going to create that zebra body. Yeah, Tommy, it's really solid. So to tie in this wire, I'm going to start up about 1 bead head length behind the bead head. And you want to make sure these wires are right up next to each, lined up. We're just going to take this and... that came loose. Sorry about that, everybody. Make sure these are lined up. Mine keep running away from me. Alright, there we go. And I'm going to wrap all the way back till about there to the start of my biots. You can see my wire sticking up straight. Hope everybody's enjoying this this camera view. It's pretty funny seeing myself tie. And then really all we're gonna do is kind of wrap back to where you started, and then just leave your bobbin hanging. Now the trick with this is making sure you keep track of the thread wrap or the wire that is closest to the bottom when you start, so you can make sure you keep that candy cane wrapping look as you go up. So you have them tied in tandem. And then I'm going to counter wrap these, so I'm going to go against the opposite of the way I'm doing it. And the other way I'm tying my bobbin. And I'm just going to slowly, you want to apply some pressure and make sure these wraps are staying real tight next to each other. 2. And you can see my wires are getting wrapped here, so I'm going to make sure they don't misbehave. 3, 4, and we're going to leave it right. Yeah, we're going to leave it at that. And what I'm going to do is just wrap my thread around the wire like I've showed you guys before, and I'm going to break my thread like I've shown you guys plenty of times before. So hang with me while I rethread this. Sorry about that, everybody. Great little teaching moment here. You pop your thread. Really easy way to thread your bobbin is to start the thread in the tube and suck. Let me get that in there. Cool. I got that restarted. Going to trim my wire. Make sure that's nice and tucked into that little crevice so it doesn't cause me any more problems. And I'm going to get some wraps right here. There we go. Get my bobbin hanging. Let everybody catch up. Some more tying fuel. All right, now the next step is we're going to take this little pack called backing sticker, and what this is also going to be, you'll hear this is like scud back or fly skin, goes by a lot of names, but really it is just a thin strip of a synthetic kind of rubbery elastic brown material that's nice to tie with. So I'm going to put it, you can feel kind of the sticky side, rough, kind of sticky. You want that facing up. And we're just going to tie this in, and that's going to form our wing case on this nymph. Everybody hanging with me? Hey, what's going on, Brian? Yeah, video quality is sweet. Put a lot of work into this. Really excited the way it turned out. Alright, so we're going to take our green dubbing and we're going to make a little dubbin noodle. And for this one, you don't need to use a lot. Use a little tiny pinch. With dubbing, a little bit goes a very, very long way. So to show you guys, I'm using that much. Really tiny. And I'm probably not even going to use all this. So I'm going to get a nice little dubbin noodle started here. Oh yeah, definitely not going to use all this. And holding the skin back, I'm going to give it a nice little thorax right there. Little happy thorax. Yeah, look at those happy trees, little Bob Ross up in here. We're going to pull our Bobbing back up. And now we're gonna take out our mallard flank. If you were wondering, yes, this does come from the duck. And all I'm gonna do is take, and these are gonna form the gills of the fly, but you can see I'm gonna separate out a clump of fibers there. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take my scissors close to the feather, the main stem, and I'm gonna trim those out. And you can see I'm gonna get a tuft like that. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna split this tuft into two. We're gonna use one for the left side of the fly and one for the right side. And you just kind of want to use the tips of this, which you'll see on the main camera. And I'm gonna kind of flare them out to the left and to the right, and get that trapping wrap, and then you can pull them in closer, and you can kind of tug and get the strands to the way you want them. You can use more or less. I go less. I believe less is more, but at the same time, if you want, maybe your local nymphs have a few more gills, or you notice the way everything looks and you want to do more, it's all up to you. That's the kind of the cool part about fly tying. So you can make it whatever you want. I'm gonna do the same off the side closest to me. And you don't need to do a lot of thread wraps. A little bit goes a long way. You know, it's not a really thick material, it's not a tough material. 2 or 3 wraps is really gonna hold your feathers solid. Trim that. Now I'm gonna give it a couple more, 1, 2, 3, some tighter wraps there. Really make sure that's gonna stick. All right? Everybody hanging with me? Thanks, John. Just trying to watch the video. Oh yeah. All right, now the last and final step here is we're gonna pull our skin forward up to the bead. And I'm gonna use my left hand here, kind of down and low. And you just need to focus on that first wrap. Once you kind of get that in, then you can take your left hand here, pull those gills back, get some better wraps in there. And then all I'm gonna do, after I've got those wraps down there, pull this up and back, and trim that skin. Now we're gonna take this, I'm gonna do a few more wraps just to make sure everything's real secure. A few tugs. I'm gonna take my handy dandy Ergo bobbin from Loon, which I love. Or Ergo whip finisher. Make my little figure 4. 2, 3, 4, boink. And voila, it is clean. And there you have it. We've got our first zebra Copper John. Have a good night, Tommy. Thanks for tuning in. All right, you guys ready to do another one? Let's go. Take that out. Put that in my handy dandy little fly holder here at the bottom of my vise. Get our next victim ready. You guys might notice I'm using a different vise tonight. That is purely out of a camera angle necessity. I love tying on our Postfly Miami vices, but it wasn't going to work with this camera angle, so we switched up to, luckily Pete had one for me. As always, anybody tuning into this broadcast is more than welcome to use our promo code TIEWithPostfly10, and that will give you 10% off fly tying kits, like this one for the Copper John, or like for next week's kit, which we'll announce at the end of the broadcast. It's a great little code. We want to pass on some savings to everybody who's tuning in and watching with us. Hang with us, and yeah. Matt, I'll inform you later. You know who you are. Drew, thanks for tuning in. We do these sessions once a week, every Thursday at 6 p.m. The kit that's going to be tied is announced the Sunday night before in an email if you're on our emailing list, and it will also be put in the comments of this video once we're done, and you can sign up that way. It's really cool, really exciting, great way to learn a bunch of new patterns and to hang out with a bunch of other fishy folks. Alright, so let's get started on our next zebra Copper John. So just like before, taking my lead wire, and I'm going to give it about 7 wraps on the shank. I like that number. 7's a good number, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to trim this lead. Put that aside. And then what you can you can trim these little tails from where you started. And then what I'll do is I'll take my nails from my thumb and forefinger on my left hand, or mostly my thumb, and I'll just run it up the shank and make sure it's getting fed into that bead eye that you can see. The bead. Just wanted to get that adjusted for y'all. There you go. See how that's squished down in there? Carson, next week we'll be tying a streamer pattern. We try to alternate trout, salt, trout, warm, trout, and whatever. But really it's every other week is trout, and then the ones in between is either a big saltwater streamer or a big warm water streamer. Alright, so let's get our thread started here. So I'm going to get my thread started. Make sure to cover up, give a couple wraps over the lead to really make sure that's secure in there. And we're going to wrap all the way back a little bit down the curve of the hook, because these nymphs tend to have a curved body. And you want to have that kind of the tail sticking out down and away from the body. Trim that up. Alright, I'm going to take 2 more goose biots out of my stripped biot here. Alright, I'm going to take my first one, set the other one down on the table. Alright, remember, you want them to curve away from the shank of the hook on either side. So I'm going to get my length the way I want it. 1 trapping wrap. Alright, we're going to start that again. Oh, man. She does not want to cooperate, does she? You can also better manipulate the feather if you press it up against the shank with the pad of your finger, and really that will force it to kind of lay flat the way you want it to. But again, trout don't eat perfect. Trout prefer it. They prefer their victims to be the sick and the dying, unfortunately. It's easier. So I'm going to trim this up real quick. Boop. Alright, I'm going to take my second biot. Again, making sure it is curved away. Using that natural curve, it is curved away from the shank. I'm going to pinch it here. Trapping wrap up front. Making sure to hold it parallel. You can manipulate it a little bit with your thumb there. We're going to wrap it all the way back. Cool. Alright. And you can see, I'm trying not to get in your way. This video, it's getting real creative. You guys can see the picture-in-picture how wacky my arms are going. It's pretty funny, right? Alright. Look at that gymnastics. Alright, so now I'm going to take the strands of wire that I was tying with previously. Again, making sure they're lined up to a nice point together. I'm going to wrap that down. And you can see we're kind of going to stop. We're going to tie it in right behind where that lead is. That lead wrap ends, just to make sure we kind of maintain that nice little pretty taper we've got going. I'm going to pull that tight. There we go. We're going to wrap this all the way back to where our biots are. Alright, and then we're going to wrap it forward to where we started. And we're going to snap our thread, because that seems to be the... As you can see, I caught that on the tips of my wire. If you do that, you're going to have a bad time. Just be really conscious of where your thread is in relationship to that wire. And make sure you're trimming it as flush as you can. Use my little handy dandy trick. Get up over that, there we go. I'm gonna trim these two real quick. Alright, now we're back where we started. Alright, so just like before, remember you want to, as you're starting your wraps. So for me, at the bottom here, the red is the bottom wrap. So I'm going to make sure that I'm keeping it's every other red wraps to really keep that cool zebra look we're going for. And gonna get that right in here. Get a couple thread wraps in there. Really secure that. And it's okay if you overlap the wire a little bit. Your thread will just kind of go down in between. Just be conscious, don't put too much tension on it. You don't need a ton of tension for this pattern. I'm going to go in and trim that. Push that in this little space we've created. And then, hang on guys, real quick, because I'm going to just adjust my fly. There we go. So now we're there. We've got our thread wraps done. So just like before, we're going to take that same stretch of the back that we had. Remember to keep that kind of sticky side facing up when you tie it in. Three, 4, 5. And that's really all the wraps we need. Make sure that tension's right. All right. It'll affect your throat. Good point, Matt. That is a great way to kind of keep that wire out of the way while you're tying. All right, so I'm gonna take another really sparse chunk of dubbing here, and we're gonna put this, just a nice little dubbing noodle. Remember, with dubbing, a little bit goes a very, very long way. Go 1, sure. This noodle is tight. 2, 3, there we go. Whole noodle's done. All right, everybody hanging in there? Awesome. All right, so now we're gonna take our mallard flank again, and I'm gonna take another chunk of these fibers here, like that. And I'm going to trim that down really close to that center spine. I'm going to take these, again putting them over the edge. They're perpendicular, they're going to be the gills of this nymph. Just get one wrap in there, and then you can kind of pull them in the way you want them. And manipulate them after you get those kind of first trapping wraps done. Trap wrap. Alright, do the same thing on the other side. Trying to make sure these gills are about the same length. So again, I'm just going to kind of do a loose wrap. And I'm going to manipulate them into the right area that I want them. There we go. Alright. Again, I'm just going to trim these up front. I'm going to pull the wing casing forward. Get one wrap down behind the bead. Another wrap, 3, 4, and then just like before, I'm going to snap my thread because I have meat hands. Alright, real quick. Adjust my tension on my vise real quick. Old girl loosened up on me. Alright, I've got those wraps in there. Making sure the gills are behind, facing backwards. And while the copper john was developed out west, but however, it is extremely, extremely effective in eastern streams, mimicking really any sort of mayfly. This one's a little sloppy, I'm sorry guys, my wire wraps didn't turn out the way I wanted them to. But hell, this puppy will still hunt. There we go. There's our second zebra copper john. Now for this next tie, I want to have a little, oh, Mark, this is a size 16. I've tied them everywhere from 12s to 22s. The 22s are really if you have like if you really hate your eyesight. You don't want to see past 30. Alright, so we've got our second zebra copper John there. All right. So I'm going to show you guys real quick. This is kind of a little variation on a Prince nymph I'm going to show you here. Because we've got all the materials here, and the really cool part about each and every Postfly fly tying kit is you can tie a couple different patterns with the materials we give you. So this one's going to have, this one we're just going to take the turkey bite, we're going to use our dubbing. If I didn't drop it on the ground right there. Our turkey biots, our silver wire, and that's about it. It's going to be a really cool little, I'm sure you're all familiar with Prince nymphs. They're deadly little, Mark, me too, man. It's hard to do. Sorry for the sniffles and stuff. A little head cold. Alright, so first step here, we're going to take our stretch of lead wire. That's not lead wire, that is silver wire. Here's the lead. Easy way to tell the lead from the other wire. If you eat it, in 30 years, if you get sick, you know it's lead. Let me get this on here. We're going to just do another 7 wraps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Sorry about that, didn't mean to kick the camera there. I'm going to trim those off. Alright, hang on, I'm just going to adjust this camera real quick. Making sure everything's okay. There we go. Alright. So again, I'm going to take my thumb here and push all that lead into that bead eye. I'm going to wrap it up, cover that lead in thread. Then we're going to wrap all the way back to where we were tying in our biots before. Back here. Cool. Alright, so first step is going to be taking 2 biots. Same thing as we've done before on the tail. Sorry for the camera adjustments, everybody. Trying to get this right. There we go. Oh. Yeah, there we go. Alright, I'm going to take this, that first biot in there, start there, get our next biot, same thing, remember to keep them pointing away from each other, away from the shank. Alright, now that we've got those biots in there, I left this little chunk of thread sticking out the back. Clean these biots up. There we go. Now we've got our tail in there. Alright everybody, we are back. My apologies on the battery dying. Had it all charged up, don't know what happened. All right, so we are back. All right, everybody, so we are back. We've got these two biots tied in here. I'm gonna wait for some more people to join us here. Hey everybody, again, sorry about that. I'll let everybody catch up. Battery died. It was fully charged, don't know what happened. But let's get this party rocking. This is our last pattern for the night, and then we will call it off, and we'll see you guys tomorrow at Postfly's Iron Fly at Riverwalk Brewing up here in Newburyport. It's going to be a great time. Boys from Pig Farm are going to be here. We're going to be whipping up a bunch of flies, drinking some good beer, having a good time. It's going to be awesome. We will see everybody there. Again, my apologies for the choppy and the cutout there. Hopefully everybody is back with us. If not, like I said before, we'll post this live video on Instagram, or not on Instagram, on our Facebook and on the blog, and you guys can catch up. All right, everybody with us? Hope so. All right, so the next step in the Prince Nymph here is to put in our thread, or not our thread, our wire here. I'm gonna wrap that forward. And we're gonna wrap all the way back to where we started, right up by the biots here. All right. All right. So I'm going to take a little bit more dubbing than before this time, and we're going to use this in place of the wire that we were using. So we're going to use this to wrap up the body. So just like before, get a nice little dubbing noodle started. We're going to wrap this in up to about, leaving a little gap between the bead head and the back of our hook. Hey Greg. Greg Sherwood, good to see you. Greg Wilson. We got two Gregs up in the house. Sorry about, again, for everybody who's tuning in from the other stream, we lost power to the camera, and we just restarted the stream here. My bad to everybody. We're working on, like I said, we're building this out, building it with you guys, so we're learning along the way. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this thread here, or this wire, sorry, and I'm going to cover up that dubbing body we just made here. And then once you kind of get in that gap, I'm going to take it, and before, like I showed you guys, I'm going to wrap my thread over it once, over it twice, and then come up into this gap, give a couple little wraps just to really secure it there. And like Matt Lawton was saying earlier, you can tuck it up into under the eye, or just kind of put in that little gap that we've created and wrap down. As you can see, some of my buyout fibers are coming up there. So what we're going to do next is we're going to create another little dubbing thorax here, just like before on the previous pattern. Actually, nope, sorry. Next step is we're going to take two more biots. So I thought we got up tying the copper john again. We're doing a Prince Nymph this time. And so with these, as you can see, they're both going one way. And all you're going to do is you kind of want them in a little bit of a V. You want to kind of figure out line them up in your hand. We're going to tie these both in at the same time. Kind of a little crisscross action. And these you kind of want to end just before the other two start. You can kind of see it right there. And this is just going to form a different type of wing case. It's going to be a different looking nymph. So you can see once I've got that wrapped down, I can take this other one and manipulate and kind of get that spread eagle look out of those two. Or see how we've got those two hanging there. Hey Greg, hey Brian. Then I'm going to take these up, trim them down, and all we're going to do for this last little bit is we're going to take a really sparse little tuft of dubbing, and we're just going to cover up those front wraps there. Hey Kyle, good to see ya. And no, I have not made my way down to Tennessee yet. I promise if I make my way down there, you will be my first call. And then we're going to take this, we're just going to make a nice little, happy little dubbing collar right in front of those biots. And there you have the Green Prince. A nice little different variation to tie with this pattern and with these materials. It's going to be equally as effective as that Copper John. It's got a little different look to it, maybe a little bit more caddisy, a little bit more green depending on what's in your waterways. And don't worry everybody, we're going to do one more of these to make sure that everybody can catch up after our little bout of technical difficulties there. And then we'll be done for tonight. There we go. All right, let's do one more of these princes. All right. Thanks, Kyle. All right. Get my fly locked in there. Find our lead wire. That is silver. Where'd my lead wire go, everybody? Oh. There she is. Is that it? Nope, that's the fishing line. The wonders of working in a fly shop, everybody. Alright, so if you have lead and you want to wrap it, that's fine. Go ahead and lead wrap it. I'm going to tie mine a little lighter this time. Maybe as like more of a Prince emerger and less as a tumbling along the bottom Prince. Hey Brendan. Brandon, yes I can. I will show the whip finish a little bit better and a little slower on this one. Alright. So just like if you want to put in your lead, do it like we did before, about 7 wraps, and then cover it with your thread. I'm going to continue to wrap back to about, what is going on? Hang on everybody, I gotta fix something with my thread. Bobbin's acting up. Alright, now we good? Alright, now we're good. Maybe that was why it was breaking. Probably. 4, 5. There we go. Next step. Yeah, Anthony, thanks. We're gonna take this forward. Again, getting 2 biots ready. Take my first one. Remember, you want these facing, you want the bend to be away from the fly. So it kind of gets a forked tail appearance. A little shorter of a tail on this one. Why not? Right, there's one. Here's number 2. All right, so those are in. Trim those off. This is, I believe, 6/0 thread. It's not too thick, it's pretty thin. It's my preferred nymph thread. And again, just like before, let's get a little Christmassy with it. I'm gonna take our red thread, or our red wire. I don't know why I keep saying thread. Get that into there. And then I'm going to take another hang on, I'm getting the focus back. Right. So we're going to take another dubbin noodle here. Sorry, working on getting the focus right for you guys. There we go. Alright, so now I'm going to take my dubbing noodle, wrap it forward just shy of the bead. I'm going to take this thread, do the same thing, wrap down that dubbing. Once we get it in there, just going to wrap it with our thread once, twice, one more time, and then we're going to come in and batten down those hatches. Get it? Hatches? No? Anybody? All right. Everybody still following along? Thanks, Chatto. All right. Again, gonna take off 2 biots. And just like with before, we're going to kind of make sure these are like next to each other. You want to separate them and then line up the tips until they're even. And like I said, you kind of want to you can cross them in your hand and kind of line up where you want that cross to happen on the nymph. And I'm going to line that up here. 1, 2, whoop. Oh, way too short. There we go. So you can see I kind of loosely wrapped those. And then what I can do is I can manipulate them with my thumbs, and get these to do what I want eventually. Go. You can see by pulling them apart that way, I got that V I'm looking for. So I'm going to put 1 more wrap, 2 more wraps, make sure everything's up on top of the hook, a couple wraps in front, I'm going to trim these buyouts, and then we're going to do our dub and noodle. That's way too much. Like I said before, a little bit of dubbing goes a long way. I'm going to form a nice little noodle here. All right. All right, Brandon. This one. Thanks, Matt. All right, Brandon, this one is for you. So if you watch on the picture-in-picture on the bottom left-hand side, so you can see I'm taking my tool, I'm hooking it, pulling it up and over my back, this back loop, and I'm forming a figure 4 like this. And then I'm going to bring that in closer, keeping it tight with my left hand, my bobbin hand. 2, 3, 4. And then to finish it, all you need to do is get that thread off of that back loop and pull it tight. And there you go. That's your whip finish. Oh, Matt, I bet you're hungry for a dub and noodle. Me too. It's thinking about pasta now. It's kind of weird. All right. So, thank you to everybody who stuck with us through those technical difficulties. I am so sorry about that. Problem, we're going to have to get a power cord for this thing. Didn't think that was going to happen. All right. Well, thank you once again for joining us on Tie with Postfly for the Zebra Copper John episode. Next week, we're going to be tying the Deceiver from the late and great Lefty Cray. This one's going to be really cool. There are 2 options on the site, one in size 2, one in size 6. They're going to be the exact same pattern, exact same tie. And it's going to be really fun. It's a great baitfish pattern, whether you're chasing largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, really anything that eats baitfish will crush this fly. So like I said, that will be in the comments of this video and the one before, as well as we will send it out in an email on Sunday night or Sunday morning. Now, they will also be discounted to $15 from the $20. And please make sure to continue to use promo code TieWithPostfly10 when you're buying any fly tying materials, kits, tools. You know, get some of these cool loon tools. Can't tie without my loon razor scissors. Use those on the site. Use that promo code. And we'll see you guys next week.